Hi, this is Olivia McGann, and this is my submission for Riders Seat and Aids. Here I'm riding Glorious. Whilst in walk, it's really important to follow the swing and the pace with a soft and supple back. This promotes your horse's ability to swing and relax under your seat. A good way to visualise this movement is to imagine your hips contain a bucket full of water. As you walk, the water tips out forwards and then backwards as you gently roll with the horse's movement. As this movement flows from your hips, you'll notice that your thighs independently roll out in a left-right rhythm. As each leg rolls, you should use this impulsion and allow the calf to tap on the side of the horse, which creates the left-right rhythm in your legs. By allowing the flow of energy created from your hips to move your lower leg, the action is applied without tension and minimal effort and is invisible aid. At this stage, there's a good degree of activity in the walk with a significant overtrack. In order to encourage the stretch down, I'm using a gentle touch down each rein in an alternate rhythm. This gentle coaching at the corners of the mouth helps to stimulate the horse's desire to stretch and take the rein down in a connected contact with the weight of the rein. There's a subtle but significant difference between having long reins and the horse taking the contact down and maintaining the conversation down the weight of the reins. When you think of yoga or Pilates, all the stretches are created using resistance, either against the ground or against a limb. Stretching without resistance only stretches and weakens the muscle fibres, but with resistance the fibres are strengthened and elongated. If you want to carry out an experiment on yourself, it's the difference between doing a quad stretch where you simply pull your foot to your buttock, opposed to the yoga dancer pose where the hand pulls the quads upwards but the resistance is created by the foot pushing back. This resistance stretch can only be achieved by using a bit, and there's a significant difference between a horse in a head down position opposed to a resistance stretch where the horse's energy is engaged and the circle of energy is continued, and in this position the horse is not on its forehand. When asking for a leg yield, as with most movements, you're wanting the horse to yield away from your inside leg, creating a connection diagonally across the horse into the outside rein. The inside rein should stay passive and the outside leg should be moved back from the hip to act as a guarding aid to prevent the quarters moving across too quickly. This action also keeps you sitting on your inside seat bone. When I'm teaching this exercise to either horse or rider, I find it's really useful to think of one stride sideways followed by one stride straight. This helps to think of the outside rein containing and preventing the shoulders escaping. With the backup of the outside leg, this creates the major foundation stone of the inside leg to outside rein. Common mistakes when doing this exercise is to overuse the inside rein, which opens the door to the outside shoulder and the horse travels back to the track without crossing the hind legs. In shoulder in, the legs are in the same position as leg yield. I imagine a light shining out of my tummy button, which I shine in the direction I'm going. This keeps my hips parallel with the horse's hips. Then I turn my shoulders slightly to the inside, so my shoulders are in alignment with the horse's shoulders. Then I look in the direction I'm travelling. This puts my weight down my inside seat bone and gives the weight aids to the horse, so the horse knows which way I want to travel without the use of my reins. The horse's back is like a suspension bridge with the legs as a support, so the closer the rider sits to the front legs, the easier it is for the horse to carry the weight. The distribution of the rider's weight in the saddle is also very influential to the horse's ability to carry and lift the back and work correctly in self-carriage. The ideal alignment is to have a straight line from the head, shoulders, hip and heel, and a straight line from the elbow, wrist and the horse's mouth. The reason why the vertical alignment is so important is to enable the rider to maintain their own self-carriage. The test is to imagine the horse is taken away and ask yourself, would you still be stood up, or would you fall forwards or backwards? If you're not over your own feet, then you're increasing the burden of your weight. This alignment is also crucial in the rider's ability of developing an independent seat. By that I mean the seat and legs should provide a solid support base, so the rider can keep the hands still and be able to use the hands subtly and quietly. The alignment from the elbow hand to the horse's mouth and ensures that there is a conversation down the way to the rein. The arms and the reins should be able to have a constant ebb and flow. If you turn the wrists or straighten the elbow, then the flow of energy is disrupted and creates a point of resistance. I took up yoga 12 months ago to enable me to improve my position on a horse. I have myotonic dystrophy, so I suffer from muscle weakness in various areas. The main areas which affect my riding are my neck, shoulders, wrists, feet and ankles. Yoga has made a huge difference, and I see so many parallels with the work I do training horses. Releasing my hip flexors, trapezius and my lower ankles has allowed me to lengthen my body and realign my posture, giving me a greater insight into the posture realigning I do in horses. One pose that really struck a chord with me was the camel. It perfectly explains the lightening of the seat, which is often misunderstood in videos, as it appears like a rider is leaning back. Whilst the shoulders do come behind the vertical on occasion, the weight in the seat is lightened and moved forwards to take the weight off the horse's back to coach a little more stretch. This is not the same as a rider leaning back and burdening all the weight on the back of the saddle, which has the opposite effect of driving the back down. This visualisation on the camel pose really helps to deepen the stretch in the canter work. In this video, I've still been struggling with my position very slightly. The conformation of this particular horse is very uphill, plus she is very uphill in motion. She's also extremely wide in her withers and shoulders and is very short-backed. The short back magnifies any issues with the rider's balance. If the weight is too far back, her back drops and she changes shape very quickly, but equally because she's short, she's also very strong, so if the weight is in the correct place, she very quickly gets wider, which tips the saddle back, and you get a vicious circle. She's also incredibly reactive to saddle fit, and she's the reason I became a saddle fitter. As I was riding her on this occasion, I became increasingly aware that my weight was getting further and further back, and by the end I was really struggling to keep my balance. In this particular seat, which is an extra deep, it also causes a problem as I can't get my weight far enough forwards even when the saddle's balanced. On a level or downhill horse this can be helpful, but since she's uphill it prevents me from sitting where I need to sit. In the next video, I've included a short clip of my most recent ride. The setup of the saddle is identical as far as the horse is concerned. The only difference is there's no pommel in the way and I'm able to sit further forwards in the saddle. This small adjustment immediately improves my posture alignment. I find it a lot easier to sit quietly in the saddle. What is also significant is how much that very small adjustment makes to the horse's way of going. She's much more relaxed in the neck and easier in her walk. She's so reactive to even the smallest change in the saddle. She's been a great teacher. You can see that the swing forwards and backwards in my hips is more even. Going back to the bucket analogy, previously I had too much water tipping out the back of the bucket. The alignment of the shoulder, hips and heels is better, which enables me to sit more over my feet, therefore lightening the load on the back of the saddle, which allows me to keep my hands stiller, giving me a better connection down the rein. As Glow is able to work more correctly over her back, she is more consistent and has less tension throughout her whole body. The same could be said for me. The effort required to ride forward is greatly reduced and the whole picture is more harmonious. There is the odd flight of pigeons in the rafters which causes some tension, but on the whole the work has a circular rhythm which is almost hypnotic. The signs I look for in assessing any horse is the way they carry their tail, looking for the gentle sway and the S-shaped movement. The set of the ears, relaxed and out sideways listening, and the look in their eyes, anxious or relaxed. The mouth is another big telltale sign of tension. Whilst Glow's mouth is still not as quiet as I would like, it is considerably better than it used to be. Improvement can be measured in baby steps. As long as the performance is better than yesterday, then progress has been made. I've cut back to the video from the week before to make the clear comparison. My position is more laboured, my heel is in front of the vertical line, and there's a lot more movement of the lower leg. My shoulders are in front of the vertical line as I try to keep with the movement. As she's such a sensitive, big moving mare, the balance issues are magnified. There is tension in the neck, the rhythm is more erratic with some irregular strides. As she reacts to the slightest loss of balance in my behalf, the whole picture is less comfortable to watch. As the view switches back to the second video, the softness hits you in the eye. You can see as the trot work continues that there is a gentle conversation down the rein. I view the contact as a gentle hand-holding. Especially with very insecure horse, the contact is vital for their confidence in their environment. If she lifts her head, I take up the slack to keep the connection and allow it back out again when she takes the rein down and out. It is this elastic contact that allows the energy created in the hind leg to move over the back, down the reins and then recirculate. In moments when she goes above the contact, I gently reconnect the reins whilst wrapping my legs around her, lifting her rib cage up with my heels. In the canter work, you can see me more effectively applying the hip thrust or camel pose. I keep a light contact down the rein whilst lifting and lightening my seat, at the same time wrapping my legs around her ribs and encouraging her to lift her back. Will calls it plucking the banjo, others call it a heel lift, but it all amounts to the same thing. Asking the horse to lift the back and extend the stretch downwards into a circular motion. I'm really pleased with the canter work, as I've only just added it back into the work programme. This was the pace that showed her tension. Born out of poor posture, alignment and issues with her SI joint, she would go rigid in her back and go disunited. Whilst there's still a way to go, the progress is really encouraging. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed the assessment of my seat and aids. This is Libby McGann from Live Life Saddlery.